Have you ever wondered if God has a special plan for you? It's a question many of us ask. Sometimes, life feels random, but what if there are signs that God is actively choosing you and drawing you closer to Him? Today, we're going to explore 7 incredible signs that show you might be one of God's chosen people, set apart for a unique purpose. First, God draws your heart to Him. The Bible says in John 6:44, "No one can come to me unless the Father draws them." This isn't a forceful pull, but a gentle, persistent tug on your heart. Think about young Samuel in the Old Testament. He kept hearing a voice calling his name and thought it was the priest, Eli, but it was God, beginning a lifelong conversation with him. If you suddenly feel a new desire to pray, to read the Bible, or just to know more about God, that's not a coincidence. That's the first whisper of His call, the initial sign that He is drawing you near. Second, God gives you a purpose bigger than yourself. When God chooses you, it's not just for your own benefit, it's for a mission. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Look at Moses at the burning bush. He was just a shepherd, hiding in the desert. But God called him to lead an entire nation out of slavery. The task seemed impossible, overwhelming even. But here's the beautiful part. God doesn't just call the equipped, He equips those He calls. If you feel a stirring in your heart for something that seems way beyond your own abilities, that could be God revealing His grand purpose for your life. Third, God guides your steps in unexpected ways. Life can feel like a winding road with confusing turns, but when you're chosen, God is the one directing your path. Proverbs 3-6 promises that if you acknowledge Him, He will direct your paths. The story of Joseph is a perfect example of this. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown in prison. From the outside, it looked like a series of terrible misfortunes. But each step, no matter how painful, was part of God's plan to place him in a position to save his family and all of Egypt from famine. If you look back and see how seemingly random events or even tough times have led you to where you are now, that's often God's hand guiding you exactly where you need to be. He closes some doors to open the right ones. The fourth sign is a growing desire to obey God, even when it's hard. Jesus said in John 14:15, "If you love me, keep my commandments." This isn't about following rules out of fear. It's about a heart transformed by love. A chosen heart naturally wants to please God. Think of Noah. God told him to build a giant ark in the middle of dry land. People must have thought he was crazy. He was ridiculed and mocked, but his desire to obey God was stronger than his fear of what others thought. When you find yourself wanting to do the right thing, to choose integrity over convenience, and to follow God's way, even when it's unpopular, that's a powerful indicator that your heart is aligned with His. Fifth, God gives you strength in your weakness. We all have weaknesses, things we feel insecure about. But when God chooses you, He uses those very weaknesses to display His power. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, God says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." One of the most amazing examples is Gideon. God called him to defeat a massive army with just 300 men. By all human logic, it was a suicide mission. But God wanted to show that the victory was His, not Gideon. If you feel weak or inadequate but find a supernatural courage or ability to face your challenges, that's God's strength shining through you. Sixth, God uses you to bless others. Your life becomes a channel for His love and goodness. Jesus tells us in Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." When God chooses you, you're not meant to keep His blessings to yourself. Think of Queen Esther. She was in a position of power for such a time as this, to save her entire people. You might not be a queen, but your words of encouragement, your acts of kindness, or the wisdom you share can have a ripple effect you may never fully see. When you notice your life positively impacting others, that's a sign that God is working through you. And finally, the seventh sign is experiencing God's protection and favor. This Daniel was thrown into a den of hungry lions, a situation with zero chance of survival, but God protected him. He shut the lions' mouths. When you're chosen, you'll face your own lions' dens, scary, uncertain situations. But you will also experience a deep-seated peace and see God turn those trials into powerful testimonies of His faithfulness. So, if you recognize these signs in your own life, the pull on your heart, a sense of purpose, unexpected guidance, a desire to obey, strength in weakness, a heart to bless others, and God's undeniable favor, embrace it. God is calling you. He has chosen you for a beautiful and unique journey with Him. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content to encourage you on your faith journey. See you next time.